All right, welcome back to the channel. I'm annoyed. I'm sure you guys are annoyed as well. We're going to talk about it. Post-match video today. Atlético de Madrid 0, Real Betis 1 at the Metropolitano on Sunday evening. Betis' first win in Madrid over Atleti since December 18, 2011. That is 5 days before Diego Simeone took over as the head coach. At the_Sava_B wrote in saying, I felt like I watched the Bodo Glimt game all over again. Yes, you did. Because you did. Betis' approach, again, very un-Betis-like. Manuel Pellegrini and Betis never do this. But it was the same kind of mentality, right? Very compact, medium to low block. 5-4-1. You drop 6, 7, 8 defenders behind the ball the closer it gets to the penalty area. It was a vastly different approach from what we saw Thursday in the Cup when Atletico tore Betis apart and won 5-0. When Betis pressed high in a 4-2-3-1 kind of structure. This was way different. You had Bakambu leading as the outlet in transition, and everyone closing ranks behind them and trying to frustrate and keep Atleti out. That said, there was a positive start, a lot like the Bodo Glimt game. But after Antony's goal, listen, it was a heck of a defensive job. It was extremely disciplined. And we're going to talk about how Diego Simeone tried to adjust and why those adjustments did not work out. Several kind of sliding doors decisions in this game. One of them was the Ademola Lookman substitution. Mola was taken off with about 20 minutes to go. Giuliano Simeone had moved to the left wing from the right by that time. Lookman's effectiveness had really waned in the second half because Betis were routinely sending 2 defenders at him whenever he got the ball. And without an effective partner, without not only ball progression, but incisive passing from midfield, Lookman's stranded. He's 1v2. Not many players are going to succeed in that circumstance. Both of his shot attempts came in the first 10 minutes of the game, Atleti's brightest period of the game. So you move Giuliano left, you give Marcos Llorente free rein on the right. It didn't work. And you saw an Atleti team that started with one idea, and I'm going to talk about this again in a minute. Started with one idea, then went to a completely different idea before returning to the first idea. Feels like every time Diego Simeone has done this season, Atleti have failed to win. One way we can see this, are the crossing statistics. Atleti on Thursday at La Cartulla attempted only 9 crosses the entire game. They attempted 24 of them on Sunday, and most of those when Alexander Sørloth came on the pitch in the second half. In addition to missing Barrios and missing Marc Pubil and missing Johnny Cardoso, Nico Gonzalez didn't play either, and I know a lot of people don't like Nico. I know Nico's gotten a lot of nasty comments this season. But it would have been nice to have him yesterday. A player who can cover that entire left flank by himself. Yes, he has questionable technique. Yes, his goal-scoring record is really not good this season. But moving Giuliano to the left and having that overbooking with Lookman did not help matters. Even if the intention was to give Llorente free rein on the right. And Atleti start this game with a very similar idea to Thursday, right? A pure 4-3-3 with Alvarez in the middle, playing more or less as a false 9. Lookman on the left, Giuliano on the right. You have a midfield 3 of Koke, Rodri Mendoza, and Thiago Almada. Only difference is Almada is not as good a player as Baena, and Baena himself is not in very good form. Not starting Baena was a tricky one yesterday. I think Baena should have started. I don't see Almada as a starter. I don't see him as a starter, guys. A player who is great for certain contexts in the game, but he is not a starter. The player starting in that position is and should be Baena. But Baena, we keep seeing this with Baena. It's 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Yesterday, he's playing again as a touchline winger in the second half. And that's not his best role. That's not any role for a player with his particular skill set and his ability. But kind of like Atletico caught Betis by surprise on Thursday. Betis caught Atleti by surprise on Sunday. You don't expect the Manuel Pellegrini team to do this because Betis have never done this. I think a key difference, though, and why I'm not going to defend Simeone and I'm not going to defend the players, is that El Cholo did not trust his players to pull themselves out of this jam. Instead, he changed ideas once again. Like, the team didn't demonstrate much personality. Not really any ideas. That's where you really miss Barrios. I think the team should have stuck to what was working. That was working on Thursday, and even for a time in the first half of Sunday's game. You change the idea completely when you make that halftime triple sub. It's hard to understand how you go from the triumph and the jubilation of Thursday's performance to this dull as dishwater football that no one likes watching. It's hard without Barrios, who's the most influential and important player in the team, the best player in the team. It's hard without Pubil. Marc Pubil has been incredible the past couple of months. And it is hardest when the player who has been touted as a star is not showing up. And I'm going to circle back to him. From I'm going to mispronounce this, at M. Tulsi Alex. What's going on? Appreciate you. Thanks for this comment. We keep talking about the players year after year after year. Same results, different players. I wanted to weave in Koke's comments post-match in the reply to this comment. Koke got in front of the microphones yesterday and talked about the playing field, the literal grass at the Metropolitano. And this is just a couple of days after Antoine Griezmann said, listen, the grass at La Cartuja is just way better. You know, we're a team that likes to have the ball. We're a team that wants to play and combine and associate. And the grass at La Cartuja was perfect. Koke pretty much echoed those comments post-match on Sunday. The pitch is not in good condition. We slip, the turf comes up. A team like Atletico needs the pitch to be good in order to play. We're expected to perform at a high level, and we need a pitch of that level to be able to do so. A top quality surface. Like, it sounds like a joke. You know, it sounds like an excuse. Like, why is my captain complaining about the grass, the quality of the grass? This is something that you don't expect at this club, and I don't like to hear from my captain. Regardless of how much validity there is, it gives a really bad image after a performance like the one Atleti just had. La Cartuja allowed Atleti to play. The Metropolitano pitch does not. And this is something I spoke about with Ricky on Friday. There have been complaints since the NFL game at the Bernabeu when Atleti hosted the Dolphins that week. The grass has not been the same since the Dolphins left town. And you can see it when you watch the games. Like, the surface looks a bit rough. It looks a bit choppy. The ball's moving a little funkily on it. The bigger issue, though, is what we saw tactically and what we saw in some of the personnel and strategic changes. And to be fair to Koke, he did say, being realistic, we have to play better. It's not an excuse. But, like, it sounds pretty weak. It sounds a lot like an excuse. And I don't really like to hear my captain speaking like that. At LawDogOG writes in saying, all credit to Pellegrini for getting his squad to bounce back from the loss in the Copa. At what point does signing all the players Simeone does get and then not improving the consistency in the squad comes down to planning, tactics, or player preparation from week to week? If the club finally signs a few more key defenders in the next transfer window to improve the consistency and talent for the defense, will there be more areas of the squad that become problematic again? Like the potential loss of Griezmann next season, another midfielder who doesn't live up to the potential that's needed, a weak right side if Giuliano gets injured. Are Nico, Almada, Surloth, and Ruggeri long-term plans for the success of the club? No, 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 and no. I believe at least two of those players won't be in the squad next year. Could be three. Could be all four. At least two won't be here next year. Griezmann is mentioned here, so I wanted to talk briefly about the explanation for the disallowed goal. And God, it's so marginal, right? Like, Griezmann, it was adjudged that Griezmann was influencing the play, meaning the Llorente own goal when he heads it into his own net from an offside position. There is a frame that they didn't show on the broadcast. There is a frame that shows Griezmann in an offside position and the ball behind him. So it's very marginal. I think if you want to be a real nerd about it, it's the right decision by the letter of the law. The problem is a Barcelona or Real Madrid goal would never get chalked off for something this marginal. Never. That is the entire issue, is that referees continue to screw with Atletico because they know there won't be an institutional backlash. Busquets Ferrer, the referee, adding only 5 minutes at the end of the game was a sick joke. You've got to be kidding me. Should have been at least 7, probably 8. If this happens in a Real Madrid or Barcelona game, there would be articles and headlines about it for a week after. Atleti washes their hands of it. It's about respect. It's about defending Atlético de Madrid as an institution from disrespect and how this board has never done it. I was going to go back to the comment about we keep talking about the players year after year after year, same results, different players. And I want to address a little bit more, go a little bit deeper on Simeone changing the system so wildly in the second half. I got a couple of comments like this yesterday, like why didn't Atletico play it in a 4-3-3? But they were. They did. They literally did. And then they changed everything after halftime because of the growing sense of desperation. When Simeone threw on Griezmann for Mendoza, who was okay. Rodri Mendoza performed about as I would expect a 20-year-old making the leap from Elche to Atleti for his first start. He performed about as I thought he would. Made one really big mistake, showed some quality. He did all right. He's going to be fine. But you take out Rodri Mendoza and you move to a 5-3-2. Giuliano plays as a wing back. He's moved over to the left and plays as a left wing back. Griezmann takes an interior position. Lookman and Sørloth are your two forwards. Giuliano moving left has a really negative effect on Lookman. He was steadily marshaled out of the game. And like when you have center backs in Josema Jimenez and Robin Lenormand who do not progress the ball, you can't play that formation. You absolutely can't. Because that formation is predicated on having a couple of center backs who are very, very good on the ball and can progress the play reliably and frequently. You can't play that system with Jimenez and Lenormand. Simeone then tries to correct this mistake. This is one reason he uses 5 subs a lot, is because he makes a mistake. He does an overcorrection and this excessive interventionism I've talked about before, and he tries to correct this mistake. This time he did it by taking out Lookman and putting in Obed Vargas. Atleti then returned to the 4-3-3 with Griezmann playing as a forward, but now there's no more Lookman. Atleti's 2 best chances in the second half. Guys, when you put on Sørloth, you are automatically catering to him. Whether you're playing the ball on the ground or you're playing it in the air, all the crosses attempted in the second half, that's a proxy effect. That's a byproduct of having Sørloth on the pitch. You know, the 2 best chances Atleti had in the second half were Sørloth headers from corners that were both hit right at the goalkeeper. At Mr. __ Sasquatch, appreciate you. It's really hard to keep up when your main striker is on a scoring drought that lasts weeks and weeks. Let's end the post-match video by talking about Julian Alvarez. I'm getting tired of this, guys. I'm getting tired of watching him in this form. 23 rounds down in LaLiga, and Alvarez has scored once in one game from open play. 1 out of 23 weeks in LaLiga, he scored a goal from open play. That's horrendous. There's no 2 ways about it. There's no defending that stat. Earlier in this run of games, and I spoke about it in a previous video, earlier in this run of games without a goal, he was still creating, right? He wasn't scoring, he wasn't precise, but he was generating shots. He was helping his teammates. He was supplying them with passes in the final third, into the penalty area. But now there's nothing. Now there's nothing. I watch Alvarez and I don't get the sense he's going to score. I watch him on the ball and I don't feel confident that he's going to score a goal. It's been 100 days since he scored a goal. I get the sense now that there's some fatigue because Simeone took him off at halftime and did not give him the chance to try to turn it around in the second half. What is there to turn around? He took 17 touches in the first half, attempted 13 passes, one shot from kind of a challenging angle, 0.34 expected goals on target. So not a bad opportunity, but it was easily saved. This I can't defend. He's doing nothing where I can say, well, to be fair, no. And it just keeps getting worse for him. The past 3 or 4 games, we're talking about this game. We're talking about the Levante game, where he started on the bench and came on when Sorloth got hurt. The Bodo Glimt game, the Galatasaray games in the Champions League. And it's hard to know, it's hard to pinpoint and diagnose whether there's one issue that can be fixed. It seems like it is a confluence of issues that have fallen upon Alvarez here. He became a father recently. The World Cup is in 4 months, and he doesn't want to get hurt. He's trying to get involved. By getting more involved, he's trying to find a rhythm and find form again. But what he really should be doing is just hanging around the penalty area. By continuing to drop deeper and deeper behind lines, you're just making it worse because there's no box presence. When Alvarez is on the pitch and Sorloth is not, Alvarez needs to be the box presence, and he's not the box presence. And of course, there is the elephant in the room, which is the transfer noise around him that he has not shut down, that he has had no real interest in shutting down. I'm not going to assume the worst. I'm not going to theorize anything. I just want to express my frustration. You know, it's sad to watch him right now because you don't get the sense it's going to get better. Not only is he not scoring, getting in positions to score, he's not even creating chances anymore for others to score, for others to shoot. Immensely frustrating. And if he starts Thursday, which there's an argument for Griezmann to start over him Thursday. Griezmann is in better form. If he starts Thursday, that's when this needs to turn around. If you want to be the franchise player, the star player of Atlético Madrid, you need to appear in every context. And Alvarez is shrinking in every context. All right, that's the show. Appreciate you guys watching. You guys are the best. I really love this community, and what we're building here is special. So thank you guys for chipping in, leaving comments on yesterday's video. Got some more goodies coming your way this week. Going to be doing some stuff before the Barca game on Thursday, and of course afterwards. So please tune in. Thanks again for watching. Adios.